Hey you guys, tonight we're here to talk about Ken Walks. He is a TikTok creator who is under a lot of fire, and in my opinion, a lot of it is warranted, but we're going to talk all about it. I'm going to give you the background, what's going on, and how I feel about it so that we can have a discussion. So if you're interested, please keep watching. All right, you guys, so if you're familiar with Ken, if you're a fan of his, welcome to my channel. I do commentary here on YouTube. I'm not on TikTok, but I'm a viewer of TikTok. I'm just not a creator. Now, before we get into this video, despite the fact that I have a disclaimer in my intro as well as in my description box, I want to make it very clear that these are just my opinions on things that are happening on the internet. That's what I do on my channel. I talk about internet culture, influencers, YouTubers, whatever it is, and sometimes I throw in a really random topic that has nothing to do with influencers or YouTubers, but everything in this video is my opinion only, as it always is, and these are my reactions to public information, public happenings. So if you are a fan of his, that's totally fine. You're welcome to leave your thoughts down below, but Ken is being discussed for good reason, and I know that he has a very strong fan base who is kind of ignoring a lot of what's going on right now and continuing to, they kind of walk through with the blinders on. And I just hope that everybody can have kind of an open dialogue and we can have a discussion about this, because it not only has to do with internet culture, it specifically has to do with creator ethics and ethics when it comes to covering true crime. I've touched on this a couple of times before on my channel, but I think ethics as a whole when it comes to being a creator is something that we should all be in tune with. But when you're talking about true crime cases and situations of people that are missing or endangered, the ethics goes from, if it's at like a level 100, when you're talking about stuff like that, it needs to go to like a level 10,000, because you're not only talking about someone who is either already deceased, they could be deceased, or they're missing or in danger. We're also talking about families that are watching this content, and it's not just families that are, listening to things going on. These are families, they're in a ton of pain, and they are hurt, confused, worried, concerned. And I think that people need to take into account that content has meaning. I always try to look at intent and impact when it comes to content, especially when I'm covering creators. And I think sometimes people have good intent, but the impact is the opposite. And sometimes I think that people just don't care, because a lot of creators are willing to do whatever it takes to build their fan base, to get clicks, views, branch off into other streams of revenue like we're going to talk about with Ken here. But I just think it's a really important conversation, so I hope that we can have one in the comments down below. And if I need to make a part 2 and make an update to this, I will absolutely do so. But let's get through part 1 first before we even think about part 2. Now, I hope to make this video digestible. I hope that it is not too long, but I also want to give you guys a fair amount of information so that you can fully understand why people are as upset as they are, but hopefully it's not too long. So Ken is a TikToker as of filming this video. He has 1.1 million followers, which is a really large fan base. That's a lot of people that are listening to whatever it is that you're saying. And most of his videos range from around 400,000 to 500,000 all the way up to 1 million, 2 million views, depending on what he's talking about. So he has a, as far as analytics go, his channel is performing really well for him. People are listening to what he has to say, and I think with listening to a creator, there's also a certain level of trust that is built, and I think that's also why a lot of people are so immensely let down. Not only does this have to do with really sensitive subject matter, but it's also we put all of our faith in you to talk about these really sensitive topics, and now it's all being called into great question with receipts, with proof. Now, all of this kind of kicked off back in February when Ken made a video, which of course I will include for context, that he was meeting with the CEO of this tech company that he was a consultant for, hoping to upgrade to CMO so that he could get, more growth and kind of move up within the company.
In 10 minutes, I have a meeting with the CEO of the startup I've been working at the last 6 months. I'm going to ask for a promotion to the Chief Marketing Officer, CMO. I look good, but I'm not going to wear this. This is the only company branded merch that I have. Some of you already know the story that I met the co-founder of this app at the club, and then I came on in a consulting role, and then that has just grown so much over time. I was a board advisory member. Now I'm the director of social strategy. I own equity in the company now, and I've been doing so much work. I make content not just for TikTok, but now I post it on Instagram as well. He just gave me the reins to the LinkedIn. I'm pitching VCs and investors on behalf of the company. And yeah, let me show you our numbers. This is a message I sent to a VC scout on LinkedIn that I got connected with from my buddy. He asked how I can be helpful, and I told him some of our metrics. So 8,600 installs total in 6 months, 1,200 in the last 10 days. 4,000 total users, 700 in the last 10 days, 2,300 monthly active users on a $2.33 cost per install. I am solely responsible for 75 or 80% of those total numbers. I am the marketing department, so I should be CMO. And I'm gonna ask for a pay increase for my hourly rate, and we're gonna have to cut my commission back a bit, and I'm probably gonna ask for more equity. Because if we do my current commission structure, I will cripple the company financially because it's gonna lose 16, 20% of its operating margin every month to paying my check, which, while great for me, is terrible for them in the long run. So there's definitely a happy equilibrium here. So I'll let you know how it goes and wish me luck. I just got off my pitch to the CEO to become CMO, and it looks like for now we're going to talk again later today, and he's going to give me potentially a term sheet. Of course, I'll provide an update after the meeting I now have with the CEO from 4:30 to 5:30 today to see if we can work something out. Because I think I'm about to break this thing wide open. So I want to make sure that I get both the shine and the compensation that I deserve for that labor. It's now 3 days later, and I have 2 different offers to join the company full-time as the Chief Marketing Officer. But currently what we're going to do is they actually moved me to a full salary, even though I would be working part-time. We got rid of my commission. They're upping my equity from the 1% of the company I had to about 4 or 5% of the company, which had a $7.5 million valuation currently is several $100,000. And now we just need to make it through this fundraising round. I'll probably consider joining the company full-time once we get closer to our Series A. I'm going to be the second largest equity shareholder in a company currently worth $7.5 million, soon to be 50. So worked out.
The app is called Foresight, and essentially what it is, I wasn't entirely sure, so I wanted to see what the App Store also had to say about it. And because I had only heard Ken's description of it, essentially, it's a lifestyle planning app where you can plug in different projects that you're working on and connect with team members and, put in tasks and to-do lists and share ideas all within this app. There are a lot of different apps like this. It's definitely nothing brand new or super special, but this is, when people talk about Ken's app, they're talking about the Foresight app. So he did end up moving up in the company from consultant to CMO, and now he also owns equity in the company that he has disclosed himself. So we're not just talking about working for a business. Once you are, once you have equity within a company, obviously, you're going to want that company to do even better than if you're just an employee or somebody who doesn't have any equity in the company. You're really going to see that shift, which is understandable, but the shift that he made was very ick. So a little time goes by, a few weeks to be exact, after Ken talked about this Foresight app and, wanting people to give him well wishes and all of this kind of stuff. He then goes on to share that he was essentially someone tried to lure him into an unmarked Uber in Chicago where he resides. It was super scary. I mean, if that actually happened, that would be a scary situation to be involved in. There's no denying that. But the problem is that as things have unfolded, this has been called into question.
If you are walking home alone by yourself at night in Chicago and a car rolls up and rolls down the window and someone inside the car, unmarked car, beater of a car, asks if you need a ride, do not get in that car. This has now happened to me twice in the last 6 weeks that I can think of. The first time was about 3:30 in the morning and I was walking home from a bar. I don't drink, but I was walking home and a car with a woman rolls down the window and is like, hey, do you need a ride home? And I'm like, no, I'm good. Oh, you sure? Like, it was a beater of a car. Beater. And people are getting kidnapped. People are going missing. And it just happened to me again. It just happened to me again at 9:45 at night in River North. I'm walking down, I don't know, like Superior or Ohio Street, and it's well lit. You know, I'm on the phone, and a car comes across 3 lanes of traffic, pulls up, rolls down the window, and asks me if I need a ride. Do not get in cars with people that you do not know. Do not get in unmarked cars. Do not take free rides from strangers. Like, people are going missing. Like, I think this is some kind of connection because, like, they're probably just waiting for people who are drunk, and it's an easy target. Like, holy shit.
I want to talk about lying for just a second because I talk about this frequently. So if you watch my videos, I'm sure that I will sound like a broken record, but I don't understand how people lie. Literally, blank face, they will tell you an embellished story and have all of these intricate details and all of this stuff, and they'll put it in a video and it will all be fabricated. People who can lie and deliver content based off of a literal lie, I don't know how people do that and even live with themselves, but either way, moving on, that video happened. So super scary situation that he was now involving his followers in. And, you know, Chicago has a higher crime rate. It is a really big city. And so him saying somebody tried to lure me into an unmarked Uber is not unheard of or something that people would say there's no way that could have happened. People believed it because, number one, Chicago has, you know, crime because it's in a city. And number two, his followers had trust in him back when all of this happened, allegedly. So essentially, after the Uber scare happened, he put that out as a PSA to anyone who was listening to that video. It's super scary out here. Be careful. Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your aunt to, you know, be very careful. Tell everyone you know to be super careful. And then we move into this kind of current chapter that Ken is in, where he has kind of labeled himself as this Magnum PI, and he is Columbo of TikTok, and he's solving all the crimes. He's involved in all the crimes. He has all the ideas. He has all the tips. He has all the knowledge, and he is doing things that nobody else on TikTok is able to do, allegedly. And he essentially, you know, references these bodies that are being pulled out of the river and saying that it's happening in Austin and it's happening in Chicago and things are connected and everything is super scary. And it, for me, hearing some of his videos, it gave off a little bit of a tin hat vibe, the way that he was trying to connect everything. And that was just kind of my perception as somebody who's not a longtime viewer, but just somebody who was reviewing his content over the last couple of days.
Related in a way. All the men go missing after leaving bars, usually in the River North.
I know how they're going missing. I know how they're all connected and why they are all in the same age range and demographic. I know why the cops and the media are not doing anything or covering it, and I know what we can do about it, so buckle up. They all go missing after leaving a bar, club, or a party drunk by themselves at night, and they're walking home. Twice in the last 2 months, I've had cars roll up on me and offer me a ride. I have not accepted those rides. Both times those drivers were alone, 2 different drivers, by the way, and both times immediately after I declined it, they sped off. One time, there was an additional truck that followed the car that sped off. How are they connected and why are they all guys? They're drunk dudes. A girl knows better than to ever get in a car with a stranger. These guys think potentially that they could take the person that's offering them the ride, because the drivers themselves do not actually seem threatening. But that leads me to something else, which is I know how they're potentially drugging the people that get into the car. One of the tox reports came back with one of the people showing a drug called GHB, which is given to, I think, pregnant women, but when mixed with alcohol produces an effect identical to being roofied. So what do you think if someone was already drunk enough to get into a car with a stranger? Because definitely could happen. Definitely a guy would be willing to potentially do that, thinking that they were safe or whatever. They accept a bottle of water, potentially, from that driver that's laced or has been inserted with GHB, and then they have this roofie effect. And if that's not the case, there's that truck that's following them. So the car that picked you up pulls over, the truck is full of people to do a swap and take you. The reason the cops aren't doing anything is it's because it's not illegal for somebody to offer you a ride. Something has to happen before the cops can actually go do something. And because there's not foul play suspected, I talked to my friend who's a cop for an hour today. And the reason that foul play isn't suspected is because, I hate to say it, but there has been a long history of people who get drunk and fall in the river. They have video of people, I'm not sure any of these people, following down to the river and falling in. And because they're drunk, they're in such a shock state that sadly they pass away. Is it related? I don't know. We're talking now about probability versus possibility. Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. Is it probable? My friend who's a cop says it's less probable. The reason the media hasn't been talking about this yet, they will be this week, is because until the other day when that car rolled up on me a second time, and it was the same car, by the way, same car, I'll put it in the comment, they did not know how these things were connected, and so they cannot run with it as a story. That is now going to change. What we can do about it is raise hell and make noise. All the people in my last video who said that this has happened to them in the past couple weeks, please come with me to the CAPS meeting that's happening at the Larrabee station on Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. I will be there. Please contact me, email me, whatever. We will have a group. And please stay safe. Stay alert. Do not get in a stranger's car under any circumstance. Please make sure that you are going home in a car that you know the correct license plate number for, please. Or please be traveling in a group if you are walking anywhere at night by yourself. The last time they rolled up on me was 9:45 p.m. They are getting brazen with this. I forgot to mention that I have officially filed a police report for a non-violent incident, and the news will be picking this story up, I believe, on Monday. I have been in contact with Fox. I've been in contact with CNBC. If there's any journalists or any reporters, I have everything written up already for you. Please contact me. We need to spread awareness about this as much as possible. It is St. Patrick's Day right now. Everyone is out there drunk. This is probably an amazing opportunity. So today, especially, stay safe. The car, by the way, that rolled up on me was a late 2000s Toyota Corolla looking car, beige, silver-ish. The first time it was a woman, the second time it was a man. It had a very distinct pattern on the left gas tank bumper area. It was a bunch of big black circles, call them rust circles, look like giant cigarette burns. They were slightly shiny. If a car does approach you, try to get the license plate number. Like, they will be pulling the street camera footage from the car that I saw and trying to track that one down and connect to anything else. But this is organized. This is a group. We need to stay vigilant, and we need to get as much information as we can. Like, you can send it all to me if you got anything, but we are making a serious break in this case right now.
Now, the way that Ken was getting people to really follow along is on top of talking about things being connected in multiple cities, he was also bringing up maps. On top of him creating the maps, he also said that this has to be because of a serial killer in the Chicago area. And there was an undertone the entire time of him saying that the police were not doing their jobs. So he was figuring it all out because the police were not doing their job. That was kind of his the undertone, and sometimes even the captions on his videos would talk about the police not doing what he was figuring out. They couldn't figure it out. So it was a really weird kind of shady undertone.
I don't know what you like doing on Friday nights. Me personally, I love staying in, doing a little bit of laundry, getting ahead on work, and fact-checking mainstream media. The news. Viral media posts spark speculation about string of drownings in Chicago being related. Hey, that's me, just at me. But authorities say no. They were kind enough to provide this super helpful map of where some of these people were found to prove it. But I just built my own map with the information that I was able to find, and mine looks a little bit different. Their map has the location of 4 different people. Mine has 13. Theirs only showed where they were found. Mine has missing, found, missing, heading to, left, heard from. These are time-stamped. Yeah, this is a little more insightful, I think, than what they were doing. Anyone can access this map. It's in my beacons. Go get it. For obvious reasons, it is not editable, but if you have any additional information or any other points that I do not have here, please let me know. I know that lately most of my videos have been about this exact issue because to me, it's such a huge issue. And if the police and the news aren't going to do anything to increase public safety about this and raise awareness, I'm going to do it myself because at the end of the day, we are all just walking each other home. But there's been a lot of really cool things happening in my life that I'm going to share. If you didn't know, I'm the co-founder and the chief marketing officer of a travel tech, fintech startup called Foresight. And today I closed our first preferred partner. And this opens the door to so much more. We're going to start partnering with hotels and resorts around the world and make them preferred partners for our users. I also got an exceeds expectations on my annual review for my corporate job. So yeah, there's been a lot going on and I haven't really been myself and I'm finally feeling like myself again. So I'm excited to get back to the content that I think most of you follow me for. And if you do follow me for the Chicago crime related content, like I said, that map is available and accessible. So I hope you have a great night.
Here's my whole thing. If you have all the answers, then why are you not sending it to the police instead of making a TikTok video?
When the Austin Police Department was asked by a newspaper called The Statesman just how many people have drowned near Rainey Street, they did not answer. Instead, they put out a press release saying that since 2014, 5 people have drowned near the trailhead. The police say 5. I have 24. I actually have 28. But if you remove the people that were not found near Rainey Street, you still have 24 of them total. What's really crazy is that of that 28, at least 8 to 10 of them are still unidentified. What's also crazy is of that 28 people who've been found in the water around Austin since 2014, we only know where 10 of them were last seen. How do we have 18 people that we do not know where they last were? I am not trying to push a serial killer narrative. I am not trying to pick at old wounds that hurt the families of those who were lost. I am once again trying to address a serious public safety issue because I have at least 2 different people that were attempted to be picked up under the same guise as what almost happened to me in Chicago. Late at night, a car rolls up, offers you a ride, thinking that you're drunk, alone, by yourself, whatever. We don't know what happens after that. This map and my resources are publicly available in my beacons, in my bio. So if you know anything that I don't, please let me know. You can email it to me, you can comment here, and I'll continue to look. But I'm continuing to investigate and I'm continuing to compile as much information as I can. You know what's crazy is my old manager from Yelp called me the other day. We were talking about something relating to my startup Foresight. He lives in Austin now. And when I asked him what he thought about all of this stuff is he didn't even know. This is a man married with 2 kids who lives in Austin. And he hadn't even heard about what was going on with this. If one person makes it home tonight that would not have made it home last night, all of this was worth it 10 times over. So I will continue to investigate. There's still so much to sift through. I now have hired a team to help me do it. So if you have information, like I said, message me, email me, comment it here, and we will continue to work. And to those who have asked me for a Boston map, I'm working on it. So please stay tuned. I will probably have it done by the end of tonight.
If there's one way to get views on a video, it's certainly to put out a message like this. People need to be really alert and they need to keep up with what he might uncover next on his, next TikTok that he posts. Like, oh, what did Ken figure out that the police didn't figure out? What's going on in Austin? What's going on, up in New England? What's going on in Chicago? What is Ken going to uncover next? So it obviously helped build followers as well as allow the current videos to perform really well. Millions of views, tens of thousands of shares, tons of comments, because it's scary. You're scaring people and they're also very curious about what's going to happen next. The last thing I want to say about the maps that he was creating and trying to connect everything is, yes, he was speaking factually about bodies being found in the river and all of this kind of stuff. That was true, but it was the way that he was trying to connect things in multiple different cities where some people, not all, but some people started to say, okay, well, why is so much of this happening on TikTok instead of being shared offline with the proper authorities? If this guy has all the answers, is he giving it to the authorities? Like, what's going on here? Because it seems like it's just a whole bunch of TikToks kind of unleashing this whole, there's a serial killer and it's the smiley face gang and all of this kind of stuff that he continued to kind of feed the frenzy with.
There's obviously something happening in Austin, Texas, and I'm pretty sure I got it. It's only been 2 weeks since I had to update this map and had John Hayes Clark. There is so much going on here, and the worst part is it is accelerating. So the issue is that a lot of people use the term SK, and it sensationalizes the thing, and it discredits what's actually going on. This isn't one person. This is a team, and it's obvious where they're using their point of origin. It's on Rainy Street. You just cannot look at this map and tell me that this is not where it happens. Everyone goes missing from here, and then this is just the way that the water runs. So thank you to everyone who has given me tips and given me information, because I have been in touch with Private Investigator in Texas. I gave her the information that I had. I gave her the potential ringleader, and it hit. For the sake of the investigation, wow, I honestly never thought I'd be saying that. I can't tell you everything that I know, but I will tell you that if you go out on Rainy Street, please be careful. Please stay in groups. Please make sure that you are buying your own drinks or having those things with you the entire time. Get test strips in case someone puts something in it. Do not take drinks from strangers, and do not go walking around by yourself. The police says those combinations are a combination of alcohol and easy access to Lady Bird Lake. But see, here's the issue with the police when they do this kind of investigating. So if they find someone in the river, unless there is like significant like blunt force trauma, like actual like dude got hit with a baseball bat, they're not ruling a homicide. They're gonna say cause of death drowning, manner of death undetermined. Well, it's fucked up with Texas and fucked up with Austin. There are multiple of those cases where they had some form of blunt force trauma, and yet they're still ruled accidental. It smells really badly. I'm going to meet with a different person for Chicago tomorrow, and I'm going to connect them to one of my primary sources, and we might be able to blow that up too. So I think I figured out how we're going to do this, and I think we got Austin. Austin's on the right path. Chicago's next, and then as we roll out these maps, we're going to get the information. We're going to find these people, and we're going to get them, and we're going to get these families answers. So let's go.
So the thing that sent a lot of people over the edge is Ken decided to come on and make a TikTok and say that he, quote, cracked the case. And those are his exact words. And of course, I will insert videos throughout for context. But he has cracked the case. And here's the issue. If there were arrests, if there was a TikToker that ended up leading to 2 people being arrested for a serial killer who was murdering people, that would have been all over the news. Don't you think? Like, I realize that the news is hit and miss, and sometimes they cover silly stuff and miss other stuff that should be covered. I understand that part of it. But if a literal TikToker worked with the FBI and was this Columbo and super whiz that was able to lead to 2 people getting arrested, that would have been all over the news. Nobody has been arrested. Nobody cracked the case. Ken didn't crack the case. His followers didn't crack the case. And so this is kind of the point where people really started to have enough of Ken.
Lastly, the story that seemingly nobody but this guy can tell. So this is kind of a hard story to do because it's still in the early stages of investigation and no news outlet and the police haven't been particularly helpful in putting the pieces together. But this guy has put together a whole map of suspicious abductions and suspicious deaths in Chicago. He even went to a police meeting where he tried to present some of this evidence and sort of test his theories, but they wouldn't let him speak. His theory is that there could be a serial killer in Chicago, and I'm not saying that there is. There's been a rash of seemingly suspicious deaths where men are ending up in the river, and they're all getting labeled as suicide, even if the evidence doesn't really totally point that way. He also personally experienced 2 times a car rolling up on him after being at the bar and the car asking, "Do you need a ride home, sweetie?" He says other guys have experienced this and woken up in a field. So go check it out for yourself, especially if you live in Chicago. Don't be accepting rides from strangers. Same for getting in Ubers. Double check that that's your actual driver and use Uber Black when you can. Those are verified drivers. Stay safe and let us know if you've experienced something weird in Chicago.
And that is because it is almost the perfect crime. Think about it. Because it is not illegal for somebody to offer you a free ride, regardless of whatever their intentions are with you once you get in the car. The police will not investigate. Those 2 different times I was approached at night by myself and offered a ride and I said no, they immediately sped off. So unless someone is alert enough, coherent enough to be able to get out their phone, get a picture, or is able to remember all of the information that they see, they're already gone. This is not a theory. I have proof. I have someone who survived one of those rides. He got into a car thinking it was his Uber because his Uber baited him. And he woke up 7 hours later in a field next to the river with his wallet and card gone, cards run, phone stolen, and roofied. To protect his identity at this point, I will not explain how, but he did. There was a woman, Rosa Chacon, who went missing in January, whose body was later found in a shopping cart, and she was last seen getting into a rideshare. At this point, I don't know if it's related, but I do know that the rideshare company has never come out and definitively said yes or no as to whether or not Rosa actually did get into their car. I also know there are so many women that go missing, like 15-year-old Layla Brown, 19-year-old Renique Pryor, who's been missing for 3 months, 22-year-old Trinity Franklin, who went missing in Lakeshore East, and so many others that I don't know about yet who have never been found. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is a problem. I'm going to do everything I can to fix it.
So essentially, because of that video, like I said, it sent some people over the edge, and this is where we kind of get into the downfall of Ken and so many different people talking about him. So this creator, Meredith, and she's actually been talking about Ken for a while with some of the half-truths, red flags, and just weird content that he was putting out. But essentially, she posted this screen grab, and it's regarding the app that I mentioned in the beginning of the video. But essentially what happened is Foresight decided to go ahead and plug their CMO, who is Ken, his TikTok and talk about all of the viral, fame and views that Ken has been receiving. And that is where his content and his app crossed paths and essentially has made people kind of realize, like, okay, so is this why all of these videos came to exist? It's all linked back to the app. Because here's my thing. When it comes to investigations and open cases, I've talked about this a lot. It's very risky talking about open cases on social media. And if you have a tip that could bring peace and some form of closure to a grieving family, nobody in their right mind is going to make a TikTok about it instead of going directly to the authorities, talking to the authorities, and allowing them to do their job and not making a video about it. Because that is what people who have a moral compass actually do. They don't look at it as, well, how can I embellish this? How can I add a little fabrication to it and get a viral video?
Speaking of LinkedIn, just so we're clear, Ken is not alone in using this reprehensible tactic for marketing the app. Check out this boy boss, Stephen Eddy. He's actually the CEO of Foresight, and I want to show you his LinkedIn post the other day. So here is a LinkedIn post from Steven where he brags about the fact that the app has gone viral because of Ken's marketing techniques. So clearly, Ken is not like manufacturing this all on his own. He has a whole team of people who are like, yes, go for it. And so basically it goes on to say the same thing that we saw on that startup website, but it explains how, Ken took an unrelated video and then he promoted Foresight at the end. And then it goes on to say that Ken plans to start mixing a Foresight reference into the end of every other post. Considering how viral Ken knew he was going, like, This is so strategic. And if you watch the video of the first time that he mentions foresight, you will see it is a video talking about a tragic death of someone in Chicago. So Ken and Steven, by the way, who I feel like is not innocent in all of this, have created a marketing strategy where they are profiting off going viral by talking about people's absolute tragedies that they don't really have anything to do with, other than the fact that they want people to download their, in my opinion, not very exciting app. This is an app too that, like, in my opinion, this app will never take off. This will be something that, like, 6 months from now, you're planning something with like a group of friends and they're like, oh, we could use this app. Like, there's this app that we use at my work and it helps like make things like trip planning easier and stuff. And people will be like, oh yeah, maybe, or maybe we could just like text about it, have a group text. That's what people do. Nobody wants this app, in my opinion.
After Meredith's video came out and it was showing how they were basically gloating and bragging about Ken's views on TikTok, sure enough, he comes out with a paid sponsorship, paid partnership video. And he's essentially saying, oh, wow, I wish I had something to keep my day really organized because I have, quote, the investigation and all of these things going on with my, quote, team. And it was for his app.
I'm about to build a base camp. I have so much work to do and not enough time in the day to do it all. So I'm bringing in a team to help me across my 3 core projects. The 3 projects I've been working on are my startup Foresight, where I'm the co-founder and chief marketing officer. We've been growing like crazy and it's a lot of work and I've had to bring on help. There is the investigation, which is obviously huge and multi-state and maybe multinational at this point. Third is, of course, the nonprofit that I'm working with in Chicago, trying to help them raise $1 million to feed 1,000 families for the year. So let's try to get started. I haven't done this before, but let's give it a run. Let's call this one Foresight. The second project is the investigation. For the last one, let's do beating Chicago. Now I'm actually going to build out the projects. I'm going to add all the documents that I have, and Lord knows I have a lot of them. I'm going to add all of the team members that I've hired for all of these various different things, and we'll see what it looks like. I finished my base camp, and it is so cool. I have tried other softwares before, but this one is amazing. Look, you can actually add all of the various people to whatever project that they are actually on. It gets you your assignments. You can see all of the different maps I have coming up. It has like actual calendars, and then within each one of them, you can see the people that are on each one. You can actually upload all the files. Here are all of the maps that I have so far. I'm going to push these out soon. This is incredible. Like, this actually put everything in one place for the first time. I am hard to impress. I've tried so many project management softwares, but none of them have done what Basecamp has done for me overnight. Like, the sheer relief that I got after setting up Basecamp and starting to use it is really hard to describe. Like, this is actually an incredible product. I highly recommend it.
So it kind of seems like Ken was using tragedy as a way to bring it full circle and bring people back to this lovely app that he just made the video on. Now, there have been quite a few other things that have been uncovered with Ken, but in order to make this video digestible, I'm just going to hit on a couple of the kind of craziest things. Ken did claim that the FBI tried to recruit him, and that was uncovered that the screenshot that he actually showed was a bounce back email. It is an acknowledgement from the FBI.
I think this guy's lying. When I first started seeing his videos, I disagreed with this theory, but thought he was genuinely doing his best to help until this video where he claims the FBI tried to recruit him twice in 2019 and 2021. Now, the FBI does occasionally recruit people, but it's almost always from existing law enforcement agencies. Okay, benefit of the doubt, maybe Ken had a job like that at the time. So I scrolled down through his Instagram to see if I could find out, and in 2019, Ken is, drumroll please, working for Walmart. I do think this was a managerial or like marketing position instead of working in a store, but still hardly something that would put you on the FBI's radar. Lying about one thing doesn't mean you're lying overall, but there are a few other things I should mention. One of them being that Ken now claims to be working with one detective Kevin Gannon, who is a retired NYPD detective and the man who came up with the smiley face gang theory. Another fact about Kevin is that he was accused of assaulting a college student while he was supposed to be helping look for one of these victims. Here's another testimonial about what kind of man and what kind of cop this guy he's now so proud to be working with is. Also, in recent videos, he claims to now officially be part of the investigation, and then like 2 videos later says he's found a plate number that they're now running. This is not information you want to reveal to the public. People who commit crimes often keep up with news or social media reports of their crimes, and revealing this information gives them a chance to like switch cars, change plates, anything like that. In a way, it's almost better if he is not telling the truth about this, because if he is, it could be jeopardizing an ongoing investigation. He also claims the investigation has now officially been reopened. I could not find anything about that online. Admittedly, I did do like a very cursory Google search, so I could have missed it, but I don't think I did. Another creator, who I'll tag if you want to watch her videos, said he was full of it, which he responds to by posting texts on Instagram in which he claims to have caught 2 murderers already. To which I say, big if true, Ken, I would love more details on those. He also constantly reminds his audience he's not getting anything out of this, all while promoting his app called Foresight. I don't feel comfortable saying that that's why he's doing all this, because I also think it could be a mental health issue, like a manic episode, but I think it's important to keep in mind. Another important thing to remember is even if most of these people weren't murdered, they're still dead, and they had families and people who cared about them. And you're coming on here, you're saying a lot of things you have no evidence of, that you can't back up, and you are telling people that their loved ones were murdered by a gang of serial killers. And regardless of the reason you're doing that, if that is not 100% true, it's not okay to do.
And here's the whole thing. If you're either recruited by the FBI, you apply to be an employee at the FBI, if you're involved at all with the FBI, you don't talk about it on TikTok. Anybody knows that. I have nothing to do with the FBI. I don't know anyone that works at the FBI. People don't talk about being employees or being recruited by the FBI. And if the FBI wanted to even consider him, which I don't think that they did, I think that that was all a big fat lie. As soon as he talked about it on TikTok, he would have been denied.
I hope you're ready for this then, because last night at 3 a.m, I cracked the case. I was able to crack.
Hi, former military police investigator and interrogator for the U.S. Army, mainly working in Afghanistan operations and helping to create the Afghan National Army, which I don't know how much of a credential that is. However, I just want to issue a strong warning around these videos. I kind of got caught up and I was watching it, but it was the FBI bounce back emails. Those are just when you submit an application for those. The FBI isn't trying to recruit him. I tried to find any information about these 2 murderers that he supposedly caught. He's not. I think this is a really important thing to talk about. Gaining clout off of people's misfortunes, especially people who are murdered and their families are not at peace, is one of the most horrible things. And this is all to promote an app. And there's plenty of...
The other really funny thing that Ken tried to claim is that a private investigator in a full black suit showed up at his house on Sunday night at 8:30 p.m. to talk to him for 2 to 2.5 hours. And it was funny because he said that the investigator was securing his parking, and that's why Ken was able to run in his room and make a TikTok before talking to this investigator about the smiley face gang and all of the crime that's been happening, and how he's the one that cracked the case.
Somebody just knocked on my door, and it's 8:30 at night on a Sunday, and so I go and I check in, and it's not someone I know, and so I open it, I'm like, what's up? And they're like, hey, my name's X, and I'm a private investigator looking into the smiley face group, and they asked me if I'd been in touch with a different detective that someone had put me in touch with. So he actually just went back downstairs to secure his parking, and he's going to come back. He's in a full black suit and everything. So yeah, I think this is about to get very interesting. So I'm just going to post this now as like evidence that somebody just came to my house at 8:30 at night on a Sunday night, literally had not contacted me previously, just to put it out there that something's going on, and looks like we're moving fast. So I'll try to update you guys after with what I can. Holy shit, I can't believe this dude just came to my house. The PI, private investigator, just left. I'm okay. Thank you everyone for your concern. Thank you for looking out for me and for the wellness checks, and thank you for my parents for calling the police to make sure that I was okay. We spoke for 2.5 hours. He is part of a team that has been looking into the smiley face gang for years. There's actually another detective who I will not mention the name of, who has been trying to get in touch with me for a couple of days now, to speak with me about the stuff that I know, which is very useful to them. So there's a lot that I know that I have never been able to post on here, and I won't be able to post on here because I am apparently now part of the team. And Yeah, it's interesting to have confirmation that this is kind of what I thought it was, especially in Chicago and Austin and Pittsburgh and Wisconsin and a lot of other places that we're going to continue to work our way through together. But I'm going to help them a lot with their tech stuff, with the map building, with the resource gathering, with the data collection stuff. So I will continue to post. I will also be upping the security of my apartment immensely. I did not have this in my bingo card for Sunday night, so thank you to everyone who checked on me, to everyone who reached out to me, to everyone who's emailed me, to everyone who's messaged me, giving me information. I might not be able to respond to everything, but trust me, I see it, and trust me, it is so, so useful because I have information that they did not have. And all of this is going to help so much in bringing these people down and getting these families some answers finally. I was actually making my Wisconsin map when I got the knock on the door, so thank you again for checking on me, for supporting me, for believing in me and believing me, period, while this has been happening, because we're gonna get them.
A few days before that investigator showed up at his house, he was also sharing that he received tips from his followers that essentially gave him the license plate number to somebody who's linked to being, involved with these killings in Chicago. And he said that the investigator is now, the investigator that he has teamed up with is running the killer's plates. Like, it's all just fiction. It seems like a fiction written by somebody who happens to have a TikTok platform.
This morning and gave him that license plate number. He's having it run right now. And while that might help us crack it.
Hi, Ken. It's me, Justin, or as the people of TikTok are calling me, your sane doppelganger. I'm a former investigator and interrogator for the U.S. Army, served in Afghanistan, 6 years, blah, 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 blah. Do you know I know you're lying? Because that is a huge violation of OPSEC. OPSEC being operational security. That information, if you had their freaking plates and you made a public video that you're running them, why don't you just bring the killer onto the investigation? You just... Please just stop. We're not going to buy your app, and this is going to take you and your company to the ground. Stop, Ken.
None of it makes sense, and there's another TikTok creator, his name is Casey, and he essentially debunks the whole smiley face gang theory that Ken came up with, so I will play his video as well.
Well, I'm going to buzzkill the whole smiley face killer thing that we see going on right now. This is something that's come and gone since the 90s. What really caused it in the 90s was finding smiley face graffiti near murder scenes or dump sites. In a lot of those cases, though, that graffiti was not new. It was leftover. It was a very common form of graffiti in the 70s into the 80s, and we're actually seeing an increase in that as graffiti now because of these, which means we can definitely not associate them with anything. What's happening here is we're taking individual statistics from different communities that are not unusual or unexplained and pooling them together into a way that makes it sound mysterious, like something weird's going on. We may say, in an area with an urban waterway, 45 bodies were found in the river this year. Isn't that suspicious? Then we'll grab a couple individual cases. Look at these that found no water in the lungs. Drowning was not the cause of death. Isn't that weird? Making an assumption that that represents a majority of those cases when it doesn't. When you have larger communities with urban waterways, you get bodies ending in there because people take their own lives. You have accidental drug overdoses that people are disposing of. For example, Nathan Millard, the Georgia businessman found wrapped in the rug in Baton Rouge. People don't know how common it is for overdoses in drug houses to be disposed of like that. You have accidental deaths, and yeah, you can have murders there. What about this demographic of the men in the 20s leaving bars late at night drunk? They just fall into the water? Yeah, actually, you'd be surprised how often they do. If you go into the water, if you have an urban waterway with, say, a boardwalk nearby, you cannot orient to the surface if you're intoxicated, and you're likely to drown. Also, that population is the most common demographic you're going to find in the kind of bar patron setting who have a tendency to or risk of risky behavior. So it's a common demographic anyway. And you're going to find these traits in any community that has urban waterways like that. I lived in the Spokane, Washington area for a decade. Spokane River goes right through town, ending at the falls. Bodies were found throughout the year in the river. People are always saying, is there a serial killer here? Portland, Oregon, you got the Willamette River running through there. Bodies are found through the waterways around there too. It's not unusual. It's just taking individual statistics and emphasizing them in a way that makes them seem like something unusual has gone on. In a lot of the smiley face stuff, it's never been actually verified forensically that smiley faces were found nearby. A lot of times they show signs of age, so they're not new. It's just, again, creating correlation where there isn't one. I'll have to do a separate video on why psychopaths wouldn't do that.
The last thing I want to touch on, and this is the thing that really made my heart soar, is that there is someone who has come forward and shown proof that they sent Ken $30 because essentially their son went missing in Chicago and they were looking for some help. And they sent Ken the $30 to meet with him on April 30th, and Ken no-showed and then blocked the person on social media. I don't know if he has refunded their $30, but they not only deserve a refund, but they also definitely deserve a huge apology.
So a lot of people were asking, why would you drag someone publicly? Why would you do that, right? Well, the reason is because he's causing harm, and I have proof. So here's a receipt that a viewer sent to me, and this is kind of sad. So we'll just call them Jay. They wanted to short chat with Ken. This person had a son go missing and disappear in Chicago and is desperate for answers. Reached out to Ken, hopeful. Yesterday, at 1 p.m., our friend Ken was supposed to be meeting with Jay in regards to their missing son. They didn't show up. They didn't answer them. And guess what? Ken's favorite thing to do, block. And I don't know about y'all, but this really gets me. You know, these things, you can't imagine the pain that someone's going through just looking for answers for their loved ones or kids, their son in this case, but loved ones in general. And to just be unempathetically capitalizing on that for views so that every other view or every other video you can incorporate your app in an attempt to sell it has to be one of the, I would rate that below pyramid schemes. People in pyramid schemes are more respectable than Ken Watts.
Now, most recently, Ken has come out and apologized, but he didn't really take accountability for claiming that 2 people were arrested, even though there's been no proof of that. Because of him, he didn't address the very questionable behavior of this investigator that allegedly just showed up at his house, which no investigator is just going to randomly show up at your house and talk to you for 2.5 hours about an open case. All of these things, just tons of question marks, but in the center of it is that Ken has been using horrible crimes and negatively impacting victims' families so that he can gloat about his engagement on TikTok and bring more people to his app, which he now has equity in. And that is the bottom line. Like I said, I don't know if I will make a part 2. I'm going to see how this video does. I'm going to see what you guys have to say about it. I'm going to stitch a lot of other creators' takes throughout this video because there were a lot of other people who had different opinions and, you know, kind of brought different experience to the table. There's one guy, Justin, who is a former PI, and he had a whole lot to say.
Ken, the guy that was doing the reporting on the Chicago serial killer that was obviously telling a bunch of bullshit lies, has now apologized.
I'd like to take a moment to address something that has come to a head over the last week. As many of you know, this investigation has been my all-consuming passion over about the last month, and what started as my honest effort to bring more awareness to a serious public safety matter, my reporting on this topic has since turned into a contentious subject, and I now realize that it's not my place at all to continue chasing this story despite my own personal connection to it with those two attempts on me. I've been off a lot. I haven't been sleeping as much as I should. I've burnt myself out, and I frankly got a little bit lost in the sauce over this story. I acknowledge that it was insensitive to reference my startup on those two occasions and posts pertaining to this case. I'm a passionate guy who's passionate about the stories that I follow and, of course, about the content that I make. But I made a mistake by intersecting those two parts of my life.
There's more to the apology. Go on his page to watch it. But to me, this seems like a PR stunt. Once he posted about it and then he took his last video down for having like a bunch of negative comments, many creators calling him out on his bullshit, and people just starting to realize PR team or whoever backs him basically said, we got to pull this because this is bad business for you and your app, Foreskin. He talks about how passionate he was over this. It was obvious that he didn't give a singular shit about the families. So, apology not accepted.
So like I said, hopefully this video was digestible. Hopefully it made sense. And I can't wait to hear from you guys. Have you heard about Ken? Do you follow Ken? If you're a follower of his, are there any red flags for you? Or do you think that people are just making a big deal out of nothing and you believe everything that Ken says? I'm very interested to hear from you guys. So for now, if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Hello?
Hello. Hey.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hey.
How's it going?
It's going. I just wanted to say that I feel like some of this blasting is pretty unfair, honestly.
Hey, yeah. All right. And so here's the thing. This is where I'm at with it. I'm sorry. Did you finish? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I just think that, because you're a business owner and maybe you're creating an app or whatever, does that mean that everything that you do after that is without sincerity? You know what I mean?
No, but if you're going to literally make a video on the same platform you've been posting these and say that you're using it to solve it, to me, it seems really insensitive when there's actual families that are seeking closure and attaching to this and going the morsel. To me, it seems incredibly insensitive. It seems very devoid of empathy. And I'm trying to understand it. And then apart from that, I'm a former military police investigator and interrogator. I spent 15 months in Afghanistan working in the detention facility in Parwan. And, I also kind of worry. I'm like, what is this? Because he's not working with the FBI. They didn't bring him on investigations. That's not happening. That doesn't happen like that. And if he does, he wouldn't be making videos on a public TikTok to 1 million people, right? Like I have a top secret. I had a top secret clearance. I don't think I have it anymore. I've been out for a long time, but none of that would be happening. So it's like, it just leads me to and then also at the same time, I wonder, because I want to be really sensitive, is it a manic episode and should somebody help him? Because if it is, I want to be extremely sensitive and want to be leave that alone and leave him alone. Because if that is the case, we do feel for that.
Yeah,
but my biggest thing is that there's people. I got a message from somebody who told me that they scheduled a $30 schedule to meet with him. It's somebody who lost their kid, and then he just hasn't showed up or contacted him anymore.
And how do we know that person is who they say they are?
Well, I'm waiting right now to get all the receipts and everything in my email, so I will verify that. And here's the other thing: if Ken wants to talk to us and explain that in a more real sense, I would graciously delete all my videos and post an apology video and explaining all the information I've got. But until then, all I'm doing is presenting the things that he's posting and kind of analyzing them in succession. I haven't at once tried to blast him or take his character or anything like that. I just find it insensitive to the families, being as these are open cases. And he's actively making these dramatized videos like there's a private investigator knocking on my door, and then the next thing you know, these public marketing, we can see the stuff from the app where they're talking about using this as an avenue for marketing because it's a viral TikTok channel.
Right.
And that he's doing a viral trend. And you can, but in the middle of that to do it, that is just very insensitive, right?
Well, I think what everyone's failing to realize is Ken had 1 million followers and a blue check mark far before he started making this type of content. So, I mean, I find that really hard to.
Right, but okay, so like if his ad had been irrelevant to the murders and investigation, I would have looked at him and been like, okay, yeah, he's making money off of his stream. That's cool. Like, I get that. Good for him. More power to him. I think that's a really cool thing, right? But if you're being like, I'm using my app that I created to solve murders that you haven't presented any information to actually solving, there's not been any actual evidence. I was searching diligently to try to find the 2 murderers that he's allegedly already captured. I don't understand any of the procedures that he talked about. I don't know any law enforcement agency that's federally funded that could operate under the circumstances in which he's alluding to. So like, he's just lying about it, which is like in many situations, that's what happens on TikTok, and that's great. But then we could just circle back to the fact that there are grieving families that don't have answers, that are grasping onto what is seemingly not based in any sense of reality.
Okay, but I think that you are taking one of his videos out of context as well. So
Which one?
he was using his app to build a little bit of like a foundation for the 3 projects that he has going on, and one
Yeah,
of
one
them.
of those being the investigation. Yeah.
Right. And he was just linking the information to the people who are helping him with it. And he was doing it with the other things
Even
too. You know
no.
what? If I was doing a good deed and I was also creating something on the side,
What good deed
why
has he
wouldn't
done? Great. What has he actually done? That's one of the things I've been asking for, right? So he says he's caught 2 murderers. Where is that? We haven't got the information from, he said he ran plates. So first off, in procedure, you're not allowed to announce that you're running plates. That is only comes up in discovery in court. You don't say we ran plates. You cannot tell someone you ran plates. So that there, I take a lot of issue to, right? Now that's been like 5 days since he posted that. We've had no names. There's been no arrest. And how is that not national news that a TikToker caught 2 murderers? How did that not make a single news network?
I'm not trying to be argumentative with you. I'm just saying.
I'm sorry if I got heated up. I just like.
Where's the proof? But
where
then
is it? What has he done? You said he's doing good deeds. What good deeds?
Hold on. You're saying where's the proof? But then when he does give any kind of information, you're saying, oh, you wouldn't be giving that proof if you were actually doing something. So
okay, so
I'm just hearing some double speak.
Okay, go ahead. Yep.
No, I'm saying it's double speak.
Oh, okay, but saying that I'm running plates and I've got so let's just do a thought exercise for a second. So if I tell you I got this stuff, it's going to be happening, versus I got an apple and I'm going to eat it. Those are subjective and what's the opposite? I can't think of the word right now. It's like literal and figurative, right? So I can tell you these things, but I didn't actually tell you in substance, right? Like I could talk for a long time leading into a point. The point would never actually come up. I'm just saying words, but it sounds like I'm giving you information versus if I'm telling you this point, this person was arrested at this time for these crimes because we ran them at this plate on this car and found them, this person registered. We don't get the other side of it. You only get the urgency of it. So.
I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I just.
But I want.
The jury's not out. The jury's not out.
But with that said, there's a second part to that. I'm sorry. With that said, what evidence, what good deeds has he done? Who has he caught? Whose lives have been changed by what he's posted here, other than himself and his business?
All I am saying is, if I was starting a business and also helping someone, it would be very easy
who did he help?
People to say.
Who did he help? Who did he help?
Well, we won't know until this all shakes out, right? But apparently he said that 2 people were caught, right?
Okay, so they're caught, right? So that you can't detain people without that's public record. When somebody is arrested, you can't arrest somebody and capture and detain somebody without that being a public record. So where's the public records? Who was arrested? Who was charged? Who did he help?
No, I hear you. Listen, we don't have those details.
I'm asking genuinely, who did he help?
Right, but what I'm saying is we don't have enough information to make an accusation that he's lying either. Like, is it questionable that some of this
I have a lot of information. I actually would say that I have a lot of things. So number one, the FBI emails that are just simply response emails to when you apply for a job application.
Right, but if
Trust me,
someone
I
reached
know.
out to you and
Okay.
asked you to apply, and then when you respond and apply, you would get that bounce back and saying
And
thanks
you know
for
what's going to
applying.
happen? And you would not get hired if you posted it on social media. I can tell you right now, because the first thing you do, I used to conduct federal background checks for people. And the first thing you do is you scour every inch of their social media. If I saw a candidate posted that we called them and they applied, boom, rejected,
And he
blacklist.
was very clear about how he wasn't interested in working for the FBI and that he
But he
has
applied.
rejected that before in the past. So
Okay, so
again,
I
you
don't want to
don't
go down
have
through a hole. I
anything
want to
in
really
there.
count in who has he helped and what good has he done? Who has he captured? What has he actually provided that has benefited anyone other than him and his business? Please answer that or I'm going to drop you.
The cops and the family.
We don't know if it's
The cops
helped
and the
his business.
family.
We don't know if it's helped
We
his
do know it's
business.
helping his business. The investors are already posting about how it's helped his business. So that's no. Next. His investors have literally posted how his viral TikTok is going to help to promote the business. So that is the
You know
that
what?
is
I hope you
benefit.
enjoy your 15 minutes because you